Well, hello everybody. Welcome to your first intro tutorial to how to use Unity for those who weren't able to attend before we broke up for summer. This will hopefully be a relatively short tutorial or a refresher for some who are unfamiliar. First thing to keep in mind is that we're going to be using Unity Hub, which is our tool for opening up and managing our Unity projects. The version of Unity Hub that I'm using is 3.5.1, but if you're working at home, as long as you've got a version of the Unity Hub installed, it won't matter. You'll be able to sign in, top left hand corner, so you'll be able to sign in. If you've not used Unity before, I encourage you to sign in with your college Google account. There's an option to sign in with Google and sign in with your college details, and that will allow you to sign in. The version of Unity that you will be using matters. So Unity Hub allows you to monitor the installs, the different versions of Unity you have installed currently on your machine, and it's 2022.3.7 is the version of Unity you want to have installed. You can go to a website called the Unity Archive, which I'll have linked to on Moodle, that will allow you to download that particular version. That will avoid any conflicts when you start working on your project proper as the year wears on. However, Unity Hub allows you to open and manage all of your projects. You can see I've got 4 previous projects which I've been working on in the past day or so. However, when you create your project for the first time, we have to do one additional step. So this is a quirk to the way our college computers are set up, but in order to get this working properly, the first step you need to do is to actually completely leave Unity and open Visual Studio. I'm just searching for Visual Studio 2022, that's what's on this computer. Once that pops up, it will ask you to sign in, use your college details to sign in. From there, that will create the folder directory that we need to use in order to make our projects work properly on the college machines. Once you've signed into Visual Studio, it will pop up with a screen like this. That's all you need to do in order to start this project. So I'm now going to close down Visual Studio. It will have created the folder directory that we need in order to make our project. I'm going to start by creating a new project. Here again, project selected in Unity Hub. Creating a new project. I'm going to create a 3D project, again using Unity 2022.3.7 LTS. LTS stands for long-term support, which is why we're using this particular version. On the right hand side, this is the most important thing for your project, though, the location where you're making your project. I'm going to click on the folder directory here, and the location you want to save your project in will be on your C drive, inside of your users folder, inside of your username, in my case that's David, but it'll be a college ID number, and then in there you should hopefully see a folder called source. That folder was created by Visual Studio by opening it up, and then in there another folder called repos. That's where you select, and that's where you create your project. I'm going to create a demo project here called Tech Demo 2. So I'm going to create that project. And this will take a moment or two for it to open for first time use, but once you've created this project, it will be far quicker to open in the future. A couple of things to keep in mind while we're waiting for Unity to open this project. Unity is a game engine, and the virtual reality features that many of you are going to be using on this project build on top of Unity's game engine. It displays graphics to the screen, it displays 3D graphics to the screen, that's what we build on top of, but it also has a number of elements that are integrated inside of it, which we're going to build on top of. Unity supports all sorts of different functions and features. We're only going to be scratching the surface in terms of its capability and what we're going to do inside of this project. If you'd like to know more about Unity's abilities, give me a shout, I will more than happily talk about it. But what we care about today in this demo is just getting familiar with Unity's interface, how it works, how it operates. We're not going to do any coding in this tutorial, but I just wanted to show you a little bit about the Unity screen for those who are unfamiliar. So, when you open up your project for the first time, you will see on the left hand side a screen that's called the hierarchy, which contains the list of all the game objects currently within your scene. As you can see, I've got a main camera and a directional light. I can click on them in the hierarchy or in the scene view, which is over here. I can left click on them directly as well, which has the exact same effect. By selecting any of these items, whether it's in the hierarchy or the scene view, you'll see that the inspector, which is this tab on the right hand side, displays additional information about that selected object. So it displays its name, which is up here, its transform component, which is information about where it is, its rotation and its scale within the world. So it's X, Y, Z coordinates appropriately for position, rotation and scale. And then any other information specific to that object. You can see there's information here about the camera, and there's also an audio listener properties, information about how it detects audio. Each of these are called components, and as we get more confident with code, we will modify those components or add more as time wears on. Down in the bottom space, you've got the project. This is information about all the files currently within your scene, which you can add and will be adding as your project begins to grow in size. You've also got the console, this tab here. If you've got any error messages here, particularly error messages about the folder location, that usually means you haven't created it in the source and repos folder, which will be an issue on our college machines. But that's where you'll go if you find any errors. The project itself also has the ability to be played in real time. The play button is up here. Going into play mode gives you the simulation of the game. Currently there's nothing in the scene apart from a camera and a light. To leave play mode, you press the same button again. It's a toggle, so you turn it on or you turn it off. You basically don't care about the pause button or the step button. As far as you're concerned, those buttons don't exist. You're either in play mode or out of play mode. If you want to add additional objects to your scene, you can do that through Game Object, 3D Object and Cube. That will put the cube in the middle of your view, which happens to be, in my case, a position of 0, 0, 0, rotation of 0, 0, 0 and a scale of 1, 1, 1. But you can use the Move tool, which is located over here, to move it on the X, Y or Z axes. You'll notice doing that by grabbing these arrows, they're called gizmos. By grabbing those will update the position information over here, or you can hover over any of the values by clicking over the X, Y or Z and sliding it with your cursor with a left mouse click. That will allow it to move on the individual axes. You can do the same for rotation. Again, you can see that you can change the value, and you can do the same for scale, either uniformly or non-uniformly. If you find that you make a mistake or you want to reset your object to what it originally was, you can absolutely use Ctrl and Z to undo your changes, Ctrl and Y to redo things. However, if you want to reset something, you can right click on the word transform and reset it, and that will give it back to its default position, rotation and scale, which can be desirable for many different types of objects. The other thing I wanted to show you is how to navigate around the scene, or how to look around. When you're in the scene view, using the right mouse button will allow you to turn the virtual camera to look around. So I'm holding the right mouse button at the moment, which will allow me to rotate the camera. You can also then use W, A, S and D to move around in the scene view. And you can use combinations of right mouse click while you're doing that in order to move around. If you ever find that you're completely lost and you're out in the ether and you don't know where you are, you can double click on an object in the hierarchy, so double left click, that will take you to the object in scene view. You've also got the middle mouse, which allows you to zoom in or out, so using the scroll wheel in or out, but you can also press that middle scroll wheel, which allows you to pan the camera from left, right, up and down, and combinations of that allow you to move around with the scene. If I just quickly show you one thing though, in play mode, you can make changes to your scene in play mode. For example, here I'm going to move the cube to the left by changing its X coordinate, but when I leave play mode, notice that those changes revert back to what they were at the start. This is why it's important to know whether you're in play mode or out of play mode, because any changes that you make during play mode will get reverted when you go out of play mode. That's everything for the introduction. Hopefully that was useful, and good luck for the next demo.